ふむふむ、なるほど。
It's you again. What is it?
Convince Titus he's being manipulated. You should know by now. Titus Hardy will never falter. Just remember, it's about more than Glasia. It's about these men and Martinez, their district, their responsibility. Outside, under the rising sun, tattered and in ruins, the windows of the cafeteria aglow with her morning light. He'll get it. Go on.
Got it. Kill you because they don't like you. All because...
Bring that up one more time, and you won't get to write that report.
The man's fists under the table are balled. You can tell from his neck and shoulders. He means it.
Yes, I understand, Alain. That's your name, right, Alain? You'll kill us. That's what they do in the wild north.
It wasn't that. It wasn't. We didn't shoot him.
That's it. That's the weak one. You flushed him out. Now go in for the...
Officer, you will be next if you don't shut up.
He's onto you. He knows what you're trying to do.
We didn't kill him. We didn't even hang him. He was dead when...
Shut up, Angus!
Fatty! Say one more thing to the cops and I'll...
Dennis, stand down, or I'll beat your head in. Theo, take your hand off the belt. This isn't 31. I've got this under control.
The room falls quiet. So quiet, you can hear Angus wheeze.
Angie, where's your goddamn inhaler? You sound like you're dying.
I left it home. I can't get it. I'm too fucked. I'm sorry.
Why are you so fucking fat, Angus? Now it's all pointless. Because of you. You wasted my time. I told you, Titus. I told you just give her up.
Lizzie, your help is no longer needed here. Go tell Everard.
Fine. I'll tell him. After a long walk along the coast.
You're in. He's all yours. Questions? He nods.
You hanged the corpse to cover up the real cause of death, the bullet in his head.
Another nod.
'Cause the girls asked us to. They were in some shit.
Did she kill him?
Cop, I have no idea. The girl says she didn't. Classier came down. She seemed really out of it. Drugged up, even more than usual. Bug-eyed and gurning, you know? Not in a fun way. It looked like she'd redosed after something went down. I've seen that look before. She was scared. I knew someone had died. I've done this job for 10 years. I've seen it before. It's the politician in the motel room with the dead hooker scenario. Only in reverse.
Good analogy, boss.
You don't get to talk yet, Shanky. You're still on the bench. And you keep taking it easy too, Angus.
That's okay with the fat man, still wheezing there. He couldn't speak if he wanted to.
We went upstairs. Sure as day the Merc was dead. There was a bullet hole through the window. Fucking dirty sheets and bottles everywhere. Tibbs patched the window. And the corpse. We hanged. Yeah. He's my brother. He's in the window replacement business. You may have noticed our girl's in some shit of her own. that can't show up on police radar kind. There are people after her from the old world, where she came from. They're powerful, connected to the moral intern. She's clearly afraid for her life. Says if she showed up in your systems, she'd be ghosted away.
And why would you help someone like that? By taking on a murder?
Why would I? I guess we abide all sorts of runaways and losers here. It's a Martinez thing. In a manner of speaking, we had help from another girl. It was her idea to hang him, and I liked it for political reasons. It sent a good message.
The big guy turns to Glenn, who's about to say something. The blonde shuts his mouth before a word escapes.
I'll say it again. All the Hardy Boys are right here, cop. That woman is just affiliated with the Hardy Boys. You don't know her, anyway. Glad you understand that. Not yet. Just some ideas. She says the shot came from outside, behind the window somewhere. So that's a clue. I'm thinking someone's past caught up with them. Either hers or his.
Hers, you mean?
I mean the people after Klausya. Maybe the shot missed. Maybe it was meant for her.
I like that. Been thinking the same thing myself.
My dude. One of those mercenary buddies of his could have done it. They got guns, training, years of bad blood, probably. Or it could have been someone else from Crenell. Tell you what I'd do. Check out the coast for vantage points. Maybe consult with a ballistics buddy of mine. That's what I'd do, if I wasn't too busy doing this clown dance with you.
The lieutenant gives a smile only you can see.
You do that. Hey, cop. Before you go...
Suddenly, the wind picks up outside. You hear it rattling the large windows in their frames. It carries newspapers, circles the whirling in rags in a warm column.
Klausya, came to Martinez to hide. Many of us did. This is where you wash up when there's nowhere left to go. The Union takes you in. Now, she refused that protection, but... That's right. If we didn't take care of the people who end up here, this place would just be a couple of ruins and some cargo containers.
We'll take that into account.
It's always good to see you.
Something in her demeanor has changed. She's tired, consigned to her fate, to being here with you and what's to come. Something in her demeanor has changed. She's tired, consigned to her fate, to being here with you and what's to come.
Yes, miss. I hope you don't mind. All right.
Coolly, gracefully, she pours herself more coffee.
I understand. I'm sorry for wasting your time. I should have known that you'd find out.
Why did you waste our time then?
Because of the Hardys. I couldn't just dispense with them. They were only trying to help me. Out of the shit I'd gotten into.
Is she implying the Hardy Boys are the law?
I know that. But the people around here, they don't see it that way. And if I am to stay here, I need to get along with them. You're right. There's more. You answer to the coalition government, and by extension, the moral intern.
Briefly glancing over her shoulder to the sea, as she's done time and time again. A grand expanse of water reaches over the bay and to the horizon, grey and pale violet in the morning light. The pale, the Muindi Isola, the Occident, and then Oranje, the old, old world.
You share a database with them. You send people to their courts. Just business, but bad business for some people in the moral intern. If I show up in your records, officer, they will find me. They will...
What happens if they do?
They will kill me, sir. If you file my name, take me in for questioning, enter me into the moral intern mill, well, then I'm fucked. For nothing. This murder didn't have anything to do with me. We were there. Together. In bed, I mean. Okay. He was in a kneeling position. He had just entered me. I was on my back, looking at him. I heard the window behind me shatter, and I turned to look. There was a hole in the glass. I turned back to him. His eyes were looking through me, and his mouth was open. Dumb. I could see. I could...
A great pain moves through her, a dark and indefinite wave. She continues in spite of it.
I knew he was dead, before he fell down on top of me. He was heavy. I pushed him off and he fell to the floor. There. He only had his boots on. I bit the pillow, not to scream, then ran downstairs. I waited for the second shot to come. For me. I thought there would be one. It never came.
She's forgotten about her cigarette. The butt has burned right down to her fingernails.
Oh. So am I.
What time was this? When did it happen? It would help us if you could be as precise as possible.
11:30 to 12:15. I don't know the exact time. Around midnight.
It's okay. Were you inebriated?
Not as much as usual. He'd done a line, plus other things. I was drinking.
Wait. Titus said she was gurning her jaw off, much more than usual.
Oh, yeah. I did one of his lines, just to clear my head.
Good thinking. Clear your head. You should clear your head. Get into his mindset.
Did you hear or see the shooter in the course of this?
No. Nothing. I was trapped. I was stuck in my room downstairs. I got some clothes on and crawled back up, drew the blinds. Blood was coming from his mouth. Not a lot, just a little. He was still on the floor, slouched. I couldn't be there with him anymore, so I ran down and out of my room, into the hallway, down the stairs. I knew there would be people there. Sylvie was tending the bar. A lot of people were there. The Hardys were at the table in front of the stage. I think the Union box was full. Ruby was there too. They were having such a good time. I sat down and they all welcomed me. I didn't even have to say anything. Ruby knew something was wrong.
Ruby?
Ruby. You know, the leader.
The leader? Of what?
The Hardy Boys. Well, nominally, yes. Ruby's the one they go to when things happen, like things they need taken care of. She's the organizer.
This Ruby, in her phrasing, is entrusted with great power. She trusts her. So do the others.
Well, Ruby said let's talk upstairs. I showed her the room. I've known these people since December. They know my situation, but I can't leave a paper trail. Ruby was the first one I told. She said she'd take care of this. It's what she does, you know, take care of things. I helped her get the body to the bathroom. We used a belt to pull him up under the shower, to keep him upright.
To mislead you, they were tampering with the body.
To produce lividity, matching a hanging?
Yes.
We completely missed the tampering. Looks like you got there in time. What was this, 20 minutes after death?
Oops.
About 20, yes. Ruby explained it would make the blood... You know what he does. Ruby went outside to talk to Titus and the boys. I was just looking at Lely in the bathroom. I had to put his clothes back on. His armor, too. It was tough, but I've seen him take it off and put it on many times. It took Ruby maybe half an hour to come back with Titus. I'd gotten him ready by then. They carried him out. I knew what they were going to do. make it look like a hanging. Ruby said they would. Ruby said to wait here. She also said I wouldn't see her for a while, that we should lay low or something. So I did. I don't know. I haven't seen her since.
We will need to take this question to the Hardy Boys.
When he was shot? I may have. I don't know. I couldn't hear anything over the glass exploding.
The gunshot wasn't that loud. This is something to keep in mind when assessing the distance of the shot.
Last week, Angus and Titus's brother, I think he's called Tibbs, took care of it.
You should have another look at that window after this. Reconstruct the scene. It's right there. Yes, you see the glass sparkling out of the corner of your eye.
Because I'm an idiot.
Which is an indicator of truth.
You have to understand, the people around here, no one was making the call, and he kept rotting. And then they picked his clothes off, and that little fucker threw stones at him. He kept throwing stones at him for 3 days. I could hear the thud. Thud. So I called you. I hope with all my heart it's not the last thing I do in Ravachol. It's not nice, but it's not illegal. Not here in Ravachol. Or even in Oranje.
What exactly did you do?
Industrial espionage. I joined a business collective with the intention of betraying them. I did my job well enough to be asked to do it again. With a bigger company. The kind you really, really don't fuck with. I took their ledgers, 2 decades worth of accounting.
I need the names of the companies involved and who hired you.
The job was Lou's doing County Savings Bank. They sound small, but they're part of the Lou Scott conglomerate. That was the second job. The first was some printer company. You wouldn't know them. As to who hired me for the job, I don't know. But they're after me too, along with Luskop and their friends in the MI. Once you're done in the competitive intelligence circuit, you don't have allies. You're radioactive. This was not a joke. Real people lost their jobs. Not just in the C-suite either. Good people. What I did to get to accounting. A lot of people got hurt. But that's just more of my shit you shouldn't have to deal with. You're solving a murder. That's the first thing that went through my head when I heard the glass break. I thought they'd found me. They've killed him to punish me. All last week, I've tried not to talk to anyone or be seen with anyone so they wouldn't be hurt. I've come to understand, however, this is paranoia. What happened didn't have anything to do with me. Or I don't know anything anymore. All I do is wait here.
We can't go after Luskop. Not yet. There are other, saner leads.
I don't ask you to, Lieutenant. If there's one thing I know, it's that you'll get nothing from there.
She nods, silently. She doesn't even smoke. Just picks up the cold coffee and holds it in her hands. He's thinking, are we done here? As you look back, you think, so love did do him in, after all. If it weren't for her, he would not have been there. The shot would not have connected with his soft plate. She's silent, holding on to her coffee mug. No vapor rises from it. It's cold. Remember this silence. The lady is dangerous. People suffer around her.
Yeah. I'd like to think he didn't love me. Or that it was chemically induced and not real. Easier that way. I don't know.
This window is pristine on the inside, unlike the one next to it. Light from the desk lamp reflects off the... This window is pristine on the inside. Golden light melts away into the blue, glassy darkness of your mind. In it are two neon-lit shapes, a man and a woman on the single bed. Like the witness said, the man is kneeling, the woman is on her back. It's the night of March 4th and a shot has just been fired. The man looks directly at the woman. The shot's possible directions converge in his mouth, a ray cast from somewhere outside, entering his brain, ending him. From the roof outside, location A prime, the glass fractures around the bullet hole, shards face inwards like a corona behind the woman's back. The man does not know the bullet has entered his brain. He never will. Death comes faster than the realization. The ray cast from the man's mouth unravels into a fan of possible directions, all on the roof at first. The shot could have come from any of them. This is composite location A prime, most likely of the origin points. There could have been. Then the rain and slush and wind washed it away. This was more than a week ago. 72%, with an antique weapon that fires military-grade ammunition. A Belmagrave rifle, for example. This is a good short distance, but not too short. The perpetrator aimed with their back against the railing, or possibly kneeling for precision. This would explain why it only took them one shot. The lights were on in here. Outside it was dark. It was like shooting fish in an aquarium, a well-lit aquarium. The victim opened his mouth to let the bullet in. Neither of them would have seen anything outside in the darkness, too busy with their own bodies. Point X would contradict the woman's testimony, rendering the entire proposition void. These figures would be wiped out, detective. None that you've found thus far, but that doesn't mean there aren't any. That's a 28%, yes. In this model, the shot could have come from a greater distance. Nothing excludes the possibility. Should we extrapolate to include every possible point of origin in Martinez? According to your map of the district, this shot could have come from a wide angle of locations, starting with the northern edge of the abandoned boardwalk, ending with an islet in the bay. Let's call them B prime. B prime for boardwalk, B double prime for Land's End, and B triple prime for the islet, detective. There may be smaller points in between, but those are too fine to zoom in on. 700 meters away, the likeliest of these B positions, 20% chance. A skilled sniper could have made the shot, provided he had a safe sniper's nest. Even with the light on inside, we're talking military training. At that distance, the perpetrator would have had to take wind direction into account. 1.2 kilometers away, the least likely of these positions. Let's say 3%. A truly skilled sniper could have done it, possibly from a tent. No, too far-fetched. 1 kilometer away, an unlikely point of origin. Beyond the docks somewhere, on an islet in the Bay of Martinez perhaps. There are islets there, badly charted as they may be. The shot would have been a small miracle, 5% likelihood. There is an extremely narrow field of view from the bay to the window, between Rue de Saint-Ghislain 10 and 33A. The angle would have been extreme, and access to the islets is questionable.
From where, precisely? I see you have given this a lot of thought. Are those the locations you've singled out in addition to the roof? And what is the likelihood, in your opinion, that it came from a further distance? Okay, well, we should see if there is gunshot residue or sniper nest if we go down the coast. Rule these spots out one by one. It would be the diligent thing to do. Until then, personally, I'm going with the roof version. It fits the hidden path through the whirling. A simple hypothesis.
I was just thinking, what a nice day for questions pertaining to. Okay. What? Why would I put myself through this? Insanity. Get myself cornered like this. He wouldn't have died if it weren't for me. I know that. But I would never hurt him.
All kinds of crazy things happen when drugs are involved. Sweet, sweet drugs. It could have been a desire murder, maybe an act of jealousy. She simply shakes her head. She has the training for it. You've known it since she first greeted you here on this roof.
What does that mean?
Do drugs make you aggressive?
No. People don't take drugs to kill each other. They take them to feel okay with each other. I thought Ravachol would be more enlightened about this, especially since you've taken them yourself.
The lieutenant gives you a sideways glance. She takes a healthy, nay, giant healthy, drag of her menthol cigarette, waiting for what's next to come.
I did not kill him to defend myself from rape. I told you before. That wasn't what happened. Like what?
She nods silently. Then, This medicine cabinet is
It's you again. What is it? Why? Sounds like you're making her a suspect in this. Not on my watch, you're not. Ruby's one of us. We're not gonna throw her under your moral intern steamroller. Fuck that shit.
And fuck you too, moral
Ruby is missing. If you hide from the police in a murder investigation, you become a suspect. You know how it works, guys.
That's nothing. That's just legalese. You don't even have a sound theory. I don't want to be rude, but we're trying to get some R&R here. Think you could fuck off now?
I think we'll keep sticking around, Titus. You'll be surprised at how quickly a theory presents itself if you keep looking.
It's you again. What is it?
A sudden flash of lightning in your neocortex. The hostel cafeteria is lit by its airy blaze. Floor plans, bullet trajectories, webs of human emotion. all channeled into a single thought.
Because she was here, all night, with us.
He's cobbling together shit so he can put her away. It's Cop 101.
She was here all night? 12:25 to 12:15? She was here during all that time?
Yeah, with us, drinking, near the stage there.
No. All right, she took a fucking leak, okay? For one moment. Maybe went out, too. She has a complex operation to run from her lorry. She's a busy girl. Always has been.
This complex operation is probably something illegal.
Just because she was gone for 5 minutes doesn't mean she magically got to the roof and shot the merc. I've been through this. It's not plausible.
He's been through it. That means he suspected her too. All right, we're in. We got Ruby unaccounted for sometime during the window. This was crucial. Now let's place her on that roof.
Oh. People say there was a pinball arcade here, sometime before the hostel. What was it called, Theo?
East Delta Pinball Arcade. Weird place. Went bankrupt.
Okay, but how'd you get up? There's no room for a staircase in this building. Or an elevator, for that matter.
The elevator is outside the building. It's an old dumbwaiter used for moving pinball machines up and down from the workshop. Ruby could have gone up, shot him, come down, all under 7 minutes.
That's quite the theory. We need to have a look at that secret passage, boys.
I'm on it, boss. Right when the law clears, me and Angus are going up there.
It's a dumbwaiter, not an industrial lift. How about I go instead of...
Just now. You got something else to back this route up? Or is that it? Firmly doesn't go well with could've. There's a route to the roof. Me and the boys need to check it out. That's what we've established. But a route does not put that bullet in his head. A gun does that. And Ruby doesn't carry one.
Phase 2, murder weapon. Get a gun in her hand. If not that, then at least a shadow of a doubt, in the shape of a gun.
That looks antique. A Belle McGrave. It's inoperable. Where'd you get it?
$20, maybe 30 rifles, Titus. Also broken, but still, there were too many. And there must be other caches too.
God damn it. We need to close that dump down for good.
Okay, I see your point. There are guns lying around. Damn it. I thought we'd found all the old spots. Why was that still there?
We just missed one. Ruby doesn't know this place, boss. Just these cops digging up shit.
So
it had to come from a breech-loading rifle. Military grade. Not even you militia monkeys have those. This goes against your short-range theory. If the murder weapon was military grade, how did Ruby get it?
Wait, did he say you don't have big guns? You just showed him a breech loading gun.
A broken old broomstick is what you showed me. But point taken.
Time to really close the deal. Show them the bullet. The blonde man looks at the mushroomed Deathbringer in the evidence bag and says,
Yeah, the bitch is jacketed all right. 4mm too.
Whoa.
Well, goddamn. It's not proof, but it's a possible murder weapon. Close to her. Too damn close. You have been thorough. I'll give you that. Now what the hell are we supposed to do with that?
He's trying to woo us with cop science. Forensic shit. I heard this mambo jumbo.
Yeah, but the mambo jambo he's saying goes against his theory A.
It does?
Yes.
Just making sure we are on the same page. It doesn't all fit. We are just sharing info, candidly.
Titus doesn't reply. Probably a good sign.
You lost your gun?
What an idiot!
Tell me, did you lose it before the murder? Sure. Take your sorry ass out of here. Ruby didn't use your lost gun to kill him.
Stop thinking about your lost gun, damn it. You'll get a heart attack.
This was merely a thought exercise. He did not lose his gun. Let's move on.
Look, fucko. Ruby and I are pretty tight. She would have showed me the gun if she had one. She knows I love guns.
Yeah, everyone knows Glenn loves guns.
I don't know, Glenny. Ruby's a little secretive, isn't she? Wasn't like she told you every little thing.
Look who's finally speaking. Ratty's been uncharacteristically quiet since you started theorizing. Maybe he has something to gain from implicating her.
She organizes things. She doesn't whack people. That's not the kind of person she is. She's a talker.
It's clear this one is protective of her.
Easy now, Glenn. What he's trying to say is, people who don't have guns don't shoot people. You need a gun for that. You can't prove she has one.
You don't need to prove anything. Doubt is enough for now. And Titus must have some.
I don't know, cop. Why don't you find your lost gun first?
Easy now, Al.
Titus, we're not seriously considering it, are we? Ruby wouldn't do this. Why would she do something like this?
Phase 3. Motive. The last component.
And I suppose you have a theory on that.
Think about it. Why go through all that effort? It was her idea, wasn't it? The hanging. You went along, but she suggested it.
She had, like, a fully formed plan and shit. Right when she came back downstairs.
Really, Shanks? Claudia wanted to talk to another girl, that's all. She was just the first one up there. I could have come up with that plan if I'd have been first.
Time for a logics demonstration.
I didn't do it, fucker! It wasn't my plan!
You probably did, though.
It's just a thought experiment. Think, Shanky. You killed him. You got up there, shot him, cut down.
Fuck you, man! I would never fuck my guys over like that.
She didn't either. She would never do that. Why aren't more of you defending her? This is fucking stupid, Titus.
Glenn, I thought the same thing when she skipped town and left us in this shit.
Oh, so he didn't rule her out completely. And she skipped town. This is good.
There's no fucking leadership challenge. Just when I thought you were taking this seriously, cop, you put your head in your ass.
Man, now he's just throwing shit against the wall to see what sticks.
Okay. We ruled out infighting. That's how this works, by exclusion. Remember, all we need to do is rule Ruby out too. That's all this is.
There's a bit of truth in there for Titus to react so brashly. He does not like his authority questioned. Silence. He looks around the room. The old man in the corner nods. A very small nod. And a trickle of tobacco spit on his lip. This is the only option he cares for.
Yeah, I see it. There's one more thing I've been wondering about. Ever since you asked me where she is. Add it to your list of suspicions, if you want. I don't know where she went. She just got up and left. Got real scared, too. Wouldn't tell me where. However hard I asked. Want to know why? She was afraid I would tell you. Maybe she was right. By now, I probably would.
She knew there's evidence on her, and she knew we'd find it. This is typical suspect behavior. why fleeing is always incriminatory.
Perhaps. Ask her if you find her. It won't be easy, though. She made sure of that. I told you. You. Yes, you. The cop with the sideburns and the disco clothes.
And a hole in his heart. That first.
Yeah, that's real funny. She wasn't laughing, though. You know, when I first saw you limp in here, I thought she was paranoid or sniffing her own supply. But now I'm not so sure. She said you have a funny taste in clothes and that you won't stop until you have something on her. She said she's heard of you from Jamrock, that you're a human can opener, that you play suspects against each other, open them up like cans.
Fucking hell. Titus, did he just...
Open Angus up like a can? Yes, he did. Now, we can whine about it, whack him, or we can go on with our lives. I'm having a go on with our lives kind of day, Al. How about you?
It's not an actual question. Silence. He nods.
You are insistent.
Yeah, there was something else. She wouldn't tell me, though. I could see she wanted to. It was burning on her lips. This caught Titus. This caught he.
Scared. You should be too. A strange fear creeps over you. A metallic taste in your mouth. Change the subject.
Friday afternoon, when you first arrived, I got word the RCM was in town. Then she came in to see me. Told me she was leaving. That's when we had our little conversation. She's not far. We know that much. She didn't take her lorry, so she's on foot.
Good fucking luck, man. She knows this place like the back of her hand. You'll never find her.
Yeah, Al, and we won't either.
She's not really a hardy candidate anymore, is she?
She's not, Glenn. A little. On the coast.
Where have you looked for her, more precisely?
More precisely, on the coast, past the waterlock. She's not here, so I'm thinking she's there. Sure, there's some shithouses there, a cinderblock town. Fisherfolk there refuse to unionize, so that's one place we haven't looked. I hear they have a shack where junkies sometimes crash. Time for you to step up.
We will start there. One more question. What does Ruby look like?
Boyish. Hair's red. Dyed. She looks like a Lowry man. It'll have to.
His grip is firm and reassuring, like holding a piece of unpolished granite. Not just granite, tightly packed RCM Sergeant material.
When are you gonna get it through your dumb head? I already am. I just wasn't sure you were.
And he still isn't. People aren't afraid of good cops in the way Ruby was afraid of you, he thinks, then turns back to his men.
Now it's turning into a kind of a snow limbo, man. What's on your mind?
The woman still has her eyes fixed on the photograph in her hands. In the background, the radio plays. No response. Wherever this woman is, your words fail to reach her. Nothing. Her smile just keeps widening. Her hair is gray like lead. No, this one is a monster in disguise. A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. This big, heavy grad-made machine. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see a lorryman's cabin with personal belongings. Fumes of heavy fuel oil waft over you, making your eyes sting. The odor mixes with...
Likely, yes. This guy's proud of who he is.
He was acting tough before. This probably scared him a bit. Who knows where it will come in handy.
Right to work! Right to work! Shame on you!
Looking for something, Rod? Come to tell me to fuck.
It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's barely held together by a clip, then made complete by the faint smell of urinal cleaner. Arson, petty theft, spousal abuse, handwritten logs on dozens of investigations. You don't exactly close them. It takes about half an hour to piece one together, using the system you've devised. Which one do you want? This one is relatively easy to reconstruct. Overnight on 1202, a graffito, nay, a mural, appears on an 8-story tenement overlooking central Jamrock. The building is a sparsely inhabited ghost tower, part of a failed real estate development called Grand Couronne. The mural is enormous. 2 silhouettes, a man and a woman, are kissing. The text cut into their form reads, "True love is possible only in the next world. For new people, it is too late for us. Wreak havoc on the middle class. People call it that thing and that fucking thing. It's visible for miles. In 2 days, the station's complaints desk gets clogged with requests to remove the bummer. You and your partner are assigned to the case. The graffito crew is easy to track down. Only the bell lettrers have the literage of industrial paint to cover the surface. One of the graffito artists is rumored to be rich. They take responsibility for the execution, but not the design. The ideologue of the next world mural, as the crew calls it, remains an unknown. The case files do not show you finding the author of the design. The crew agrees to clean up after themselves. However, your partner, JV, is against the removal, citing public support for conservation. This leads to a debate in Precinct 41, which then spreads to the streets of Jamrock, ending in a rare plebiscite organized by you and the rest of Row 3. The 9,000 people subjected to the mural's message, all of Lakeside, Central Jamrock, and Villalobos, plus half of the eminent domain, participate in the vote. Although the case begins with what appears to be a lot of rambling on the streets as to how juvenile and stupid the mural is, given a choice between 2 options. A staggering 78% of voters choose to keep it. Turns out the opposition were a loud minority, and that love truly is possible in the next world for new people, and it is too late for us. Did anyone ask you what you believe in, man with the smelly toilet ledger? What do you want to tackle next? Or are we done? Not much has changed in the meanwhile. Without resistance or sound, the 2 panels move against each other. It's slightly, ever so slightly, difficult to breathe once you've done so. Your hand shakes. You're flushed with adrenaline. A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for all. The display rack is brimming with worn paperbacks featuring an extremely muscular sword. The porter reel is just what you needed. The reel's attached to the apparatus with a satisfying click. The tape is routed behind the magnetic reader. You press the large button marked Commencer, and the tape starts spinning. There's a small delay before the song starts playing. It sounds like someone's moving in the room, getting comfortable. Then the organ starts playing a simple, melancholic tune echoing in the hallway. A lone singing voice joins in, telling you about the tiniest church in Cessons, surrounded by even tinier yard. You almost feel the seaside mist on your skin. It's mega sad. Within seconds you know, this is the one, the real shit you've been looking for. The one you trust your room to that Claudia told you about. Perform it. A click, then silence for a bit. Then the tape stops spinning. Of course you could sing this. You could take sad to a whole new level with this. And you already know the lyrics since you've listened to it like 1,000,000 times. And the B-side of the tape contains the instrumental version. It's like the world itself is telling you to do it. Only one obstacle stands on your way. Gart. You have to convince Gart to let you sing karaoke in the whirling. After you've won him over, you can express yourself. Let the pain out. Make everyone understand. The lieutenant watches you pack up the boombox. He doesn't say anything. Rust peels off the bent iron posts of the swing. The wind whistles through the skeleton of the small house behind you. There's desolation everywhere.
In this yard?
He's assessing the situation. How long ago was it abandoned?
Someone thought they could have a summer house in a bloc obscure, for cheap. It didn't work out. They abandoned it about a decade ago. A black bloc, a part of the city left unrenovated after the war, or one that has fallen to gang violence, or has become inhospitable in some other way. Practically, it's not an official term in any way, but look around. No sewage, broken power lines, crime, drunks. Life is tough in the blocks. It's no place to build a summer house. Yes, and you picked it up because you're a post-apocalyptic scavenger who collects trash and magnesium blisters.
It's not meant as nagging, just an observation.
We should move. I don't think our suspect is in this particular yard. No place to hide. And besides, it's too close to Martinez.
A banged-up motor carriage lies half submerged in the icy water, slowly sinking into the Insulindian Ocean. Only the cabin top, rear wheels, and the engine remain visible. It must be cold and lonely down there in the icy water. The seawater has already started to corrode the metalworks. Remember the tire tracks in Martinez? This is where they were leading.
It appears to be so. I agree. We should definitely investigate.
You get a sudden sinking feeling. Stomach acid comes up as you look at the motor carriage in the deep, dark, cold water. The motor carriage is properly stuck in the ice. Getting it out would require a team of specialists. A single day in the salty seawater would ruin most vehicles, but this one looks worn even in places the salt water hasn't touched it. The logo is too deep in murky water. You can't make it out, but you do see a monkfish float by.
The ice hasn't closed around the vehicle yet. My guess is it's been here since last Saturday or Sunday.
The estimate is correct. The incident probably occurred on Sunday evening. Your mocking tone finds no response, but the motion of the waves.
Yes. Crazy recklessness. I'd say it has been here since last Saturday or Sunday. Let's wait for the low tide and see what's inside. I don't know. An hour or two, tops?
As you sit down in the old, rusty playground, the world around you becomes very silent. The hinges creak under your weight, dangerously so. Nothing but the sound of seagulls high above in the sky, echoing like distant laughter. Ice cracks around the blue motor carriage in the sea. The tune on your lips forms a strange yet undeniably beautiful contrast with the surrounding bleakness. The lieutenant gives you a quick glance, then, still looking straight ahead, he joins you with a higher pitched and slightly more melodic trill. The wind blows. In the distance, behind the church, some vagrants are having an argument over a bag of tear they found in the reeds. Further away, a flock of seagulls lands. The clouds pass in the sky, and the shadow of the swing moves like the hour hand on a timepiece. 30 minutes have passed. Looks like this might take a while. Time to present a good topic for discussion.
I believe it's following a pattern set millions of years ago by cosmic forces. But I suppose it could move quicker, yeah?
Clouds on the horizon grow darker, and the shadow of the swing set keeps climbing. You hear the distant rumble of the city. 30 minutes pass.
Luckily, I am already a member of an independent organization, and therefore do not have to choose between a rock and a hard place.
Your voice echoes on the water, strange and out of place in the environment. 30 more minutes pass.
Yes, 41. What do you think it stands for? I'm sorry, Harry. I'm so sorry.
41. Precinct 41. A massive pit opens up in your stomach, and the most terrible feeling comes over you. Oh God, Harry. Oh God, Harry. What did you do? No. Just no. Say no to this, Harry.
Yes, your car is in the sea. Face it, so we can start dealing with this.
The lieutenant just shakes his head.
I'm afraid so, yes. It looks like you started in front of the whirling, jumped over the canal, and then drove your vehicle in the sea right here. Of whom? I don't think so. If anything, you were probably drunk.
Probably. Try definitely.
That is very unlikely. All the electrics are toast. That goes for the electromagnetic steering and brake systems as well. You'd be lucky to find one undamaged component in there. In a few months, there will be nothing but rust left of this vehicle. It'll be cheaper to buy a new one. Well, not cheaper. This motor carriage costs 40,000 real. But in the long run, it still makes more sense to buy a new machine than try to refurbish this. Let's face it, this is a substantial loss to your district's budget. I mean, my station only has 4 other vehicles in addition to my kinema. You can still whistle. Besides, the night is always darkest before the dawn. At least we have a pretty good suspect. If we found your motor carriage in the sea, maybe we'll find her too.
The lieutenant adjusts his glasses. There is also a 4th thing you've lost. More precious than the gun, the badge, and the motor carriage combined. Lost forever into the deepest of seas.
Detective, we don't. A rescue operation really isn't viable at this point. I'm afraid it will have to be there like that for many years. Look at it. Parts of it might be salvageable, but overall, this machine is a write-off. Yes, let's go take a look.
This is it, the scene of the party. The fire pit, cigarettes, and empty bottles all evidence it. Looks like they were here a while, judging from all the bottles. The sunken motor carriage provided them a focal point, like a goose ice sculpture or a chocolate fountain.
Looks like it. Hey, let's keep moving, detective.
A police badge on which you see the photo of a man. You. Some seaweed is stuck to the back.
At least something good came out of all this.
Encased between two durable plastic sheets is a bluish card with lines of information and a watermark in the shape of the street grid of Revachol West. You see a photo, a name, a rank, a document number, the date of issue, and, in the lower right corner, your precinct. The man keeps winking at you with his green-grey eyes. The photo is old, no doubt about that. 8, maybe 10 years. The guy in the picture is rather good-looking. He's got a nice haircut and is distinctly lacking in massive sideburns. What do you think? His face is already contorted by the expression, although it looks less grotesque on him than it does on you now. It looks better on him because he isn't in as much pain while producing it as you are now. Although there's already a hint of that pain, certainly. Don't be fooled. The bad times have already begun. The badge in your hand shines as you rotate it, catching light. You see lines of information on it. And a shining watermark.
Lieutenant W. Freighter. The lieutenant is a rank above sergeant and below captain. It's the highest rank in the RCM that still does field work. I am a lieutenant. The title of Freighter is added to your rank when you decline a promotion to a higher rank. In your case, captain. You have declined twice, thus you're W. Freighter. There are many reasons one would do this. The rank above you in your precinct's décomptage might be taken, or sometimes promoted officers do not want to replace their superiors out of respect. And sometimes they just prefer the type of police work available to their current rank, in your case, lieutenant.
Heavy-duty case-solving machine.
Décomptage is the hierarchical system employed by the Revachol Citizens Militia. It means counting down to twos. The lowest rank is junior officer, usually teenagers. Then there are the patrol officers, then sergeants, lieutenants, then a captain. That's basically it, except for a few kings. Kings like satellite officers and the additionally a freighter rank I already explained.
The long and short of it is, you're his superior.
You are given the title of satellite officer if your partner is quickly promoted through the ranks and you rise with him. You don't seem to be a satellite. No, I've been putting up with you because despite an unconventional approach, you are doing good police work. It matters more than driving your motor carriage into the sea. And now we've even found your badge.
He trusts you, for now. Try not to spoil it. Such a small yet precious thing. Expensive paper caught between thick plastic, like a fly in amber. It reads,
Harrier. That's long for Harry. So you are Harry. Evrard was half right. Probably not a lot of people know your full name. Whoever told him you're Harry Dubois didn't. It's a wartime name. Revolutionary. The kind mothers give their sons during troubled times. Like Undying or Boxer or Ironhide. Pleased to make your acquaintance, Harrier Dubois.
he's not going to call you Harrier. He'll keep calling you officer when he's angry with you, and detective when he's not. The badge in your hands shines as you rotate it, catching light. You see lines of information.
That's just the serial number. Revachol, Jamrock, Precinct 41, with some numbers thrown in there for good measure. "4 months ago. I'm guessing that's when you were promoted to the rank of Lieutenant W. Freighter. A new badge usually comes with a new rank. You seem to have been doing well then.
The case created a lot of edge you have to take off. The death march really gets us going. A lot can happen in 4 months, especially in winter. The winters are never easy on you. Of that you are sure.
I remember that time!
The tie around your neck feels tight suddenly.
That was a good time. We had a good work-drink balance going. What happened, man? Pump it up!
Yes, it's the designation of your precinct. 41, like mine says 57. The 57th is mostly industrial harbor, a lot of asphalt. The 41st is... It's a tough station to work in. You have all of Jamrock to cover. That district should have 3 precincts, but money is what it is.
It's no wonder you are like you are, he thinks. But then again, it's a legendary district, and a hell of a station too. It must be an honor and a curse to work with people like Price, McCoy, Berdiaeva. And you? Is it an honor to work with you? Don't ask him, ask yourself. The badge in your hand shines as you rotate it, catching light. You see lines of information on it, and a shining watermark.
Welcome to the fishing village. Please lean in closer. I have cataracts. Oh, welcome, police officer. We don't cause any trouble around here. And we don't want any trouble either.
We are not here to cause any trouble, madame.
Trouble? Say the second thing, Bratan. Shows you got style.
No, you're not. I've seen you around here before. 12 years ago. You didn't raise any hell. You were quite helpful, actually. But still, in Martinez, you're considered an ill omen. No, not you personally. I meant the RCM. Some of the men got into a fight. One of them killed another, locked himself in that woodshed over there. He was brooding, needed some help opening the door. You got it open for him and took him to think about what he'd done in a more secluded place, somewhere more quiet.
She says it as if he was on some kind of spiritual retreat.
Oh, the usual. Dark tidings. Black hound.
That's you, all right. A black hound licking your own heels.
Maybe they are afraid. Because you're an ill omen. But you're still welcome here. As long as men with guns aren't chasing you. And maybe even then. Because that's the kind of fishing village we've built. I'm sorry there's not a lot of room to park the motor carriage. And not a lot of houses. Or a lot of people. My kids are long gone. Searching for treasure. So are others. Ah, look at me ramble on. What brings you to us? Me? No one. Just an old washerwoman. Mother called me Isabel, if that's what you're asking. And my married name is Sadie. Now it's your turn, Mr. Quite a handle you got there. So many titles. One of them double.
She's got a couple of ranks herself. Honored chief and so on.
Just us. It's barely a village anymore. We almost don't exist. This is pretty much a non-place. A gap, a blank spot on the map, just a cluster of nameless shacks on a nameless street. Over there, you can find more of the same. Shacks and trees growing wild. That's the pox.
Between here and Jamrock, a dusty sea of old trees, all covered in industrial soot. Small houses under them, an overgrown park.
An old military hospital and its surroundings. Or it used to be, during the time of the suzerain. After the war, it was turned into a goodwill hospital for shell-shock veterans and folks looking for some quiet in the old sanatorium gardens. Now the area is crisscrossed with nameless streets and makeshift cinderblock houses, shacks as far as the eye can see. The goodwill ran out. The staff left and the place was shut down. It's long gone by now. Well, there's Lillian and her kids. A few new folks live in the house to the east, but they're away right now. And then there's the drunks. Not a pretty sight, but there's little we can do about it. Home is home, even for them. Sooner or later, you'll see for yourself. Don't have to look long to find these guys. Here, for you? No, officer. The only money we have here is some coins the drunks tried hiding from their women and then forgot about.
She nods, rinsing another piece of cloth.
Stay? Most people here are trying to leave. That said, if lodgings is what you're looking for, I've got a free room in the shack. I I won't charge you for it. Take it as a gesture of goodwill from the village to the RCM. No one is using it, and God knows it's not much anyway. You can stay there. That's exactly how they get ya. That's why we built our own cinder block houses on the seaside. So we don't have to give money to those crooks. We might not look like much, but they are ours. Don't make an old woman regret opening her house to the police.
Well, if you are not in the hostel in the morning, I'll know where to find you. Here, in a shack.
Nay, I haven't seen anyone lately. This is my little cinder block town. I know what goes on around here.
She's being evasive. She knows something.
There was a murder in Martinez. She might be a suspect. We would appreciate your help.
Would you now? I know how this world works, and it doesn't work when people tell on each other. No, it's not like that, man. With him we called you. Right now, you just arrive by yourself, like a raven plucking at the window glass. There's not much to tell. People come and go. Now, was there something else?
I see, ma'am. I hope you don't mind if we look around anyway.
You should look around your shack. Maybe she's rented it out to others too.
Not much. There's the abandoned church, the DeLorean Church of Humanity. It's been there since before my time, even. Some things just don't fly, officer. Look around. Who'd go to church here? They built it 300 years ago. Must have been nicer then.
So, they don't hold services there anymore? The Ecclesiastes?
No, we've tried, but things just keep happening. Crime, accidents, other things. The place never stays open. It's a pity. It used to be such a nice church. Before you get to the church, there's some ruins, an apartment complex, or some kind of electrical plant. Run-down bunch of houses, empty. Of note, the old fish market up on the boardwalk, but it's closed. As I said, is a peninsula. There's no one there, just ghosts and vagrants, and teenagers making out.
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone. He can't be more than 5 years old. He watches his brother kick the stone with his tongue lolling out of his mouth. The stone-kicking one becomes frantic all of a sudden, as if that's something to be scared of. The obvious fact that you just stated.
He looks just like me.
The boy doesn't answer. His brother throws another rock. Both of their hair is covered in some kind of dirt.
You're bad with kids. Maybe I am. Now, how about some actual police work? We are not getting anything here.
The kids don't reply, absorbed in their little game. You hold in your hand the colorful primer. The title reads, "A Primer for Small Kids." There's a bear involved. Every page has one word designating one letter of the alphabet with a faded illustration. Most of them are scientific and cultural principles. It goes as follows. A is for azimuth. B is for Boreas. C is for cosine. D is for diamite. E is for ellipse. F is for H is for homeboy. I is for econ. J is for Eura. K is for collapse. L is for laudanum. M is for myriad. N is for nadir. O is for aureole. P is for perihelion. Q is for quasar. R is for rhododendron. S is for sinus. T is for tricolor. U is for ultra. V is for vector. W is for Wahrheit. X is for xylophone. Y is for Ustava. Z is for zenith. That's it. You know the alphabet now.
Good. I also know the alphabet.
It is a very useful skill to have, he thinks. for all sorts of life activities like reading and...
Hello, mister.
She clutches a small stuffed animal. Occasionally, she twirls it around.
Yes. They don't want to play with me. They're older and play outside. They look the same. Sometimes I can't tell them apart. They look identical. My mom's outside, and I don't really know about my dad. It's Lammy. He's my friend. Sort of.
Lambie is a stuffed lamb that, admittedly, has seen better days. One of the eye buttons is missing, and the fur is tattered in several parts.
Lammy usually doesn't like strangers, but you're also fuzzy, like Lammy. It's a grouse.
You might be able to get on Gart's good side if you replace the broken scooter you almost certainly broke.
Sure, just go and get it. I don't like it anyway. It looks angry.
All right, you just need to grab it from the ceiling and go.
Luby. Raluby. My mom tells me I'm a big girl, but she doesn't know that I can't say Earl. Or sometimes I can, but then Uller.
Kids.
Oh, I had gloves. Very big ones. Heavy, too.
Where did you get these gloves?
Found them when Lemmy and I were playing hide and seek. In an empty house. Where no one lives. I think someone hid them there.
She doesn't want you to think she stole them.
I hid them. The twins were gonna take them. They're stupid.
We're going to need those gloves. It's for important police business.
Oh. They're in my sandcastle. Behind our house. Under sand. You can break the castle. It's not very good. Bye!
Weather has not been kind to Lily's little sandcastle. The once mighty towers are quickly eroding away. You can see something shining back to you from what must have been a vast underground catacomb network.
The little castle? The reigning lord must have come upon some really tough times to let it sleep in such decrepitude.
The walls and floors give way to the giant's greed, collapse and present you with a pair of ceramic gauntlets.
Congratulations. That's the gauntlets down then. We're doing good on the armor collection front.
eyes. The layer of paint has started to peel off due to the salt and wind from the sea. Even the lock looks slightly rusted.
I'll wait outside to give you some time and privacy to check out your new living arrangement and look for any signs of Ruby. But just so you know, after we are done with the day, I'll still be staying in the whirling in rags for the night. We'll meet in front of the shack in the morning.
The key turns with a satisfying click. You can enter the shack now. An old mirror hangs on the wall. You see the reflection of your face in it, adorned with the expression. As you look at the floorboards in this corner of the shack, it's clear one of them isn't quite level with the others. The edge of a floorboard next to it looks scratched. Hollow space underneath the floorboards is dark and damp. You can barely make out the mixture of sand and sawdust below. Nothing particular catches your eye. Looks like more reeds. There might be something hidden inside the sand though. Something bad. Someone's night thoughts. A last resort. A bad idea. You stick your hand in and start combing through the sand. Dry, not like outside. Fine dust. And then, something hard wrapped in paper. A small cylindrical object. You pull it out. A bullet. The floorboard doesn't care. But maybe the washerwoman does. You have enough to confront her with. A brisk coastal wind still howls against the window of the shack. Occasionally, the waves crawl in under the foundation, producing a low hum. The room feels muffled, like you pulled your hat over your ears. Outside, it is cold and windy, but you're inside, and it feels safe and warm.
What is this place to you?
Behind the half-built cinder block house at the other end of the village, there are 3 people drinking. Your new crew. You don't need the old crew. Oh no, you have a new crew to get drunk with. You already were a part of their crew once. You can get drunk with them again. You're probably going to hang out there a lot, behind that cinder block house. It's where you belong. Who are you talking to? There is no one here, not even cold. There is no going back. Outside, the howl of the wind has picked up. The waves crash against the stilts again. It's as if you think the thought, but in someone else's voice.
Revachol forever.
On the table, you see a bowl of water, a rough soap, and next to it, a small hand mirror. A straight razor soaks inside the wash basin. The water reflects back a vague image of your face. Nose bulbous and red, hair unkempt, wrinkles lining the eyes and forehead. The stash is gigantic. You'll be looking like a pansy without the chops. A fucking pansy. The bed is comforting, if a bit run down. Still, you've earned a rest.
Our tenant, the policeman. Damn that girl.
A bullet? You didn't put it there, did you? She did.
Gone and hid things in there? She's usually a good tenant, and not a stupid one either. Yes, I let my room to that Ruby girl. As I've done before when she's been in trouble or just looking for solitude. I've made it clear, we welcome all kinds of people here. She came last Friday, left on Monday in a hurry. What has she gotten herself into, that girl?
That's for the police to find out. Right there. Please answer each question to the best of your ability. I'm sure we have a few.
She's good company, knows how to talk to an old woman. At my age, you don't get a lot of quality conversation, so I really appreciate that about her.
Did she talk to you much during her last stay?
No, she was mostly silent this time, kept to herself. She tried not to let it show, but I could tell she hadn't come to fish. Usually she likes to cast a few lines, but this time she mostly stayed in her room. I cleaned it, like I always do. No. Yes, early with the dogs, around 8 o'clock, I think. How would I know? She's a gruff one, but not violent. She doesn't go around toting a gun.
You could ask her about your hunch, that it was a desperate measure. See if she thinks Ruby fits the bill.
Do tell. Exit from what?
The lieutenant stops writing for a moment. He looks at you, then at the old woman.
No, she's a fighter.
Not a quitter, like you sometimes get, son.
I don't know. Further up the coast, she tried to leave quietly, but the hinges on that door screeched like a cat in heat. Woke me up. I heard her rushing in those heavy boots, heading up north.
It's a peninsula. She might be trapped.
You'll never find her, you know. She knows the coast like the back of her hand. You only just arrived.
I wouldn't worry about that, man. We are persistent.
Yes, it's going to be too much work for you to find her. Better for you to stay here, get a nice cozy fire going in the heater.
No, you can do it. You still have plenty of juice in you before you drop. Behind the cinder block houses, old pre-war ruins rise to the sky like dark palaces. The wind calls.
One thing, officer. If you do find her, please go easy on her. She's a good girl, whatever she's gotten herself mixed up in.
Hi, officer. Anything I can help you with?
You've graduated to Lawbringer now?
Men with authority have their quirks. Comes with never being second-guessed about anything. So what brings you here, Lawbringer? fishing village on the seashore. This place doesn't really have a name. It's sometimes called Illisible. The sign on the street leading here is illegible. Has been since they built this place. The name is Lillian. People call me Netpicker. I think I have time for questions, and that was actually the second one.
Indeed, you're always confused as to your whereabouts. Ask her about the cool sword. Helps to break the ice.
Unfortunately, the factory sold this one with a 3-year warranty instead of a story. It's to intimidate folks, mostly. Not really. I know some basic moves, and I know it sure as hell beats a knife when you're in a tough spot. It's a regular mass-produced sword, like a shovel or an axe. Nothing fancy, just for intimidation. From time to time, people need a lesson in respect. That's just the way it is. Back in the day, I caught the eyes of many men. And believe me, men need a lesson in manners from time to time. No, I'm afraid not. Attempting to confiscate the blade I used to keep these animals in check would put me in an early grave.
She refuses, but your word is the law. You are law.
What makes you think we haven't? The truth is that almost everyone in this life is scared and tired and stupid and too dull for that. That goes for men too. But they put on an act for us. Pretend like everything's good and living in shit doesn't bother them. Like anyone falls for that.
That does not go for real men. It does not go for you. Show her. Show her the wonder. Coach means the expression.
Sure. It looks as if you could face down any horror in the world with that same unchanging grin. It's like a shield.
The traces of her laughter are still there, in her eyes, fading fast.
Some went to patch their wounds, their lesson learned. Others were more thick-headed. And one of them, I ended up marrying. Gone. To the waves. The sea took him. It was a long time ago. He didn't respect the sea. Went out there drunk like a skunk, and sure enough, one day the boat was found floating empty. The bloated corpse turned up 2 weeks later. Now, before you tell me how sorry you are for my loss, know that it was 4 years ago, and I've moved on. There's only so much mourning you can do for a drunk with sinewy muscles.
She really likes those muscles, though. It's in the way she pronounces sinewy.
Us working folk don't have the luxury to be bedsick with melancholy. I buried him, mourned for an appropriate amount of time, and went on. Life didn't really change that much for me and the kids.
This is neither a touchy nor a very interesting topic for her. She looks like she's ready to go on a date with another, better, drunk. Ask her. Both of you could need some action.
Do it! Hit on the widow! It's the right thing to do!
Sure is. The sun, I call her, coated with a fresh layer of tar just yesterday. It'll take some time for it to dry, assuming the sunny days continue. Hi. Sunny days. You got a problem with that?
No, man. We have no quarrel with sunny days.
Good. It would have been bad news had it turned out it wasn't a sunny day. Bad news for the skiff, bad news for the nets, bad news for the kids.
There's a moment's silence. She looks at the slushy snow melt on the yellow belly of the boat.
Shot, huh? The boat will be ready when the sea turns and the winds settle. You can't command the weather, officer.
Waves wash the sand. A skiff moves across the mirror-smooth sea, far away from here. A lone passenger, a fast sloop in the distance, white sails. My prediction, it will be at least 2 days.
Let's see. Who are you looking for? Okay. When did this person stay here? Oh. I've been out on the sea for most of the past week. The weather's been good for fishing, so I usually start at 4 in the morning. Yes, that's the optimal time. Got to make the most of the calm. I've been sleeping like a corpse after. The sea really takes its toll. Now I'm just waiting for the wind to settle to get out there again. Sorry I couldn't help you out. Maybe I can help you find someone else. Yeah, I'm not really looking for that anymore. Not much into the middle-class ones either. I could use some landed gentry. Wish I could help you with that, but I haven't seen your working-class husband. Maybe I can help you find someone else. I don't think I know what these are. Care to elaborate? Aha! Like snowmen. 2 odd guys have been wandering around here, nose in sand, talking nonsense about snowmen and the like. Right. Not only snowmen, also green men, monkey men burning rhinos. You get the picture. I don't really know. Further down the peninsula, I guess. I mean, that's where they were heading. Who else are you looking for besides snowmen? Really? Are you sure you're not also looking for Nadia Harnoncourt? Or Ignis Nielsen? Or the great lost city of Ace under the waves? A lot of stuff. Oh, there's plenty missing, but that's too much for even an eager terrier like you to handle. Although you seem very thorough. Tell me, instead, is there something else I can help you with? Like I said, fish mostly. Sail the waves, take care of the kids, pick nets. Right now I'm tarring a little skiff. Sometimes I also walk to the beach to see what the sea has given up. The sea is full of surprises. Wood, pieces of glass. Every once in a while we see dead bodies. Human, animal, fish, other odd sea creatures. A mine washed ashore once. Bottles, drugs also. Lost cargo in general. Most of the time it's just wood and glass.
All right. Major choice moment. You only get to ask one thing. It would be weird to say them all. Choose wisely. Mines. Mines. You need mines.
Well, The RCM has to wait for another one, because some army folks came by, took it in the middle of the bay, and blew it up. The blast was surprisingly timid for such a huge spiky thing.
Spiky must have been a naval contact mine. Date of birth generator. You were born in the year 07, in the last year of the commune of Revachol, right before it fell, in the old military hospital on the ground floor, where people usually came to die during a snowstorm. The revolution had about 1 year left to go, and the fires were still burning bright. There were explosions in the blizzard. This was 44 years ago. You are 44 years old. The bloating might never leave your face, but beneath it, you still have some years. You still have some hope.
I'll just keep the Corda Lacey in the channel, if that's okay. It's too shallow near the pier. Aye, ma'am. And it's a jetty, by the way. Of course. Jetty. I prefer a good jetty to a pier any day. Jetty. Hello, detectives. It's good to see you here. I only just arrived myself.
What brings you here, madame?
Nothing, really. I've had my eye on this jetty for weeks now, so I decided to investigate it personally. This cluster of buildings isn't on any of the official maps, as far as I can tell. How do I like it?
Water drips down eaves of Eternite. The jetty below her feet creaks to the tune. The smell of salt and dog shit in the background.
It's pornographically poor. The street has no name, all the men are dead or missing. And is that the carcass of a motor carriage over there? I'm surprised that woman hasn't put me to the sword yet. Maybe she will. You should ask your questions while you can.
Dark eyes survey the coast leading up to Martinez. Dull grey metal rests in her scabbard. A sword. The wind is too loud for her to hear.
Fortunately for you, madame, the RCM is on the scene.
Real men, real politics, real thoughts in your head.
That they don't.
Above you, there forms a quilt of altocumulus clouds, twisting into each other. The wind tugs and stretches them over the bay. Their cloud shadows slide over the ruins of Revachol West. Wherever they pass, the temperature drops slightly, but perceptibly. It's early spring, and the rains are coming. An officer enters a low hut of stone and wood. Inside, weapons are piled against the walls. Rifles with splintering stocks, and swords, tens, if not hundreds. They're antiques, says Lieutenant John, the archetype McCoy, to his partner. They're digging them up from the catacombs now, fixing them. Old caches from the revolution. The children carry them up. Come May, the streets will be flooded. Outside, the wind rattles the loose hatches, flooded with cheap weapons in angry hands.
Have I told you how they discovered this place? No, they're in Celindian, Isola. Well, your condition has left you no worse off than most of these people. The literacy rate is around 45% west of the river. 50 years of occupation have left these people in an oblivion of poverty. I knew you would sympathize. Most Revacholians will never know what this place means. Our home. This island of matter. Or why they were ferried over in the first place. Remind me to tell you one day. For now, how can I assist you in this new location?
Do we?
I hear you have singled out a suspect and are in pursuit. This is cause for cautious optimism. I would not want to delay you.
This story, she will tell it only before she leaves Martinez, at the very end of her stay.
Maybe there is something else I can assist you with, while you're hot in pursuit? I'm afraid I can't say any more until we've taken care of formal protocol. Did you? Wonderful. It is a relief to see a W freighter here. The situation is precarious, to say the least. It needs a quick solution, or we will have a bloodbath on our hands. I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail. They were dispatched after I relayed the union's initial offer.
Every worker...
A member of the board. I tried to convince my employer it was simply a piece of rhetoric, or a joke. They did not appreciate the humor. Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering.
Who are they, exactly?
Crenel, an Oranese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating. They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment.
So, what happened?
The story is, one of them, the Colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night. Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbor. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenell contractors carry out their orders, for now. It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow.
What is the nature of this so-called investigation?
Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants.
It will be all of them. The decision is already made.
It is very far from disco. My only hope is that you provide a single, concrete suspect before the mercenaries indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put, if you don't pin this on someone good, and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
They would have to project strength and power.
The Debarders have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1.
Have you ever seen a Hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? It's not pretty. These men work in tandem using semi- and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all. As I said, a bloodbath. Too many things have already gone wrong. Lieutenant W. Freighter Dubois. All we can do is keep that which is not from following suit. One single concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation. Yes. I'm afraid this strike may descend into a small-scale civil war, with possible consequences for all of Rivershoal West.
Since you are sharing, ma'am, this is also the RCM's worst-case scenario.
Then we're on the same page, as grim as it may be. If you mean did I see him alive, yes. But I did not know him. Lely, his service name, a nom de guerre most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one. One is a man, Corty, they call him, a nickname as well. The other a woman, Phyllis DePaul. Corty is the gunner, I believe. DePaul is a radio operator.
What would you say was his eye color, the deceased's?
She closes her eyes, trying to picture the man's face, then shakes her head.
I can't remember.
That's all right, man. Anything else? Nationality? What would you say was his age?
He was 40. Or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age, or gauge his facial expressions.
This matches the dental reconstruction we saw on the body, and Classier also mentioned it, I believe. What else? Nationality? Accent?
He was, Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent, Oranese, or Messinian, maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it. Through the injury. That's all I know, I guess. I only met him once.
Must be hard to force your face to move in a new fashion. If you continue like this, you'll have an aneurysm. Then you'll have to.
They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. For one, they're likely to be armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes. Ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting.
Vigilantes. You're a professional officer of the only legitimate authority in Revachol.
Somehow, I doubt that lecturing them on the legitimate use of force will persuade them to stand down. You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved.
One is obviously the scab leader at the harbor gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans. He's barely maintaining his disguise.
That may be so. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest.
For all your talk of averting this catastrophe, the situation at the gate is a powder keg. Does this not bother you?
Of course it bothers me, Lieutenant. But my hands are tied. How would my employer react if it appeared I were intervening on behalf of the Union?
Your concern may be appearances. Ours is keeping the peace.
I hope I can answer it better. Or he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it. That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around.
This does not come as news to us, but still. To your knowledge, where did this assault take place, if you know?
Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly, the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him. Good. Then you've made progress. It's imperative that you move fast. The tribunal will not be patient. Not much. Their public resume is relatively good, as far as private military contractors go. I believe they were once called Downwell. They boast a long list of clients. Saint-Baptiste, Welchman Lorenz, Eintracht. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in third or fourth world countries. Guarding facilities, escort missions and such.
Meaning they're used to operating in war zones.
Yes. All the good conflict corridors, Supramundi, Yesut, the Seminese Islands, countries that don't have a good record reporting atrocious military conduct on their soil. I wouldn't go as far as to use that term, detective. Yes.
Feels like there's a good response here, but you're not coming up with one. Carry on.
Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources. If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though.
Do you know a lot about the inner workings of the RCM and the ACP, ma'am?
In my line of work, it pays to do your research. I was prepared to deal with the RCM. I did not think I'd be dealing with a group like Crenell. I have, and they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask.
She reaches for the photo, takes it, then holds it in her hand. For about half a minute, in silence. She wears fingerless gloves. Her fingernails are cut short and fractured, like those of a working woman.
It was taken with a trigette not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more markings on his hands or legs.
Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The pearls of her eyes move slowly on the photo's surface.
Sorry. I was trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies between these points. The stars. I can't. But that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent. Close. Port cities. This is an Oronese map of the waterways, a sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the Dolorian century. Over 300 years ago, the sailors would mark their bodies to map their travels. Quite a few. Vredefort, the Oronese capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. He started somewhere near here, I think.
What next?
Then he made his way to the Pretto Grande, through what I think must be the Stutz Canal, an artificial channel through the Occident. From the Pretto, he sailed to the Insulindic Ocean, first the Semines Islands, then this. Revachol. Those are the two constants. Vredefort on the shoulder, and Revachol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insulinde, at the dawn of the Interinsulary Age.
You said you can't read it.
I can't. This man was no sailor. And these are no ports. I can understand geographic fragments, but not their meaning.
Somewhere in an office lit by a single green desk lamp, Captain Ptolemaeus Price, 58, bald and bespectacled, is writing in a ledger on his desk. Rows and rows of days and weeks, laconic remarks in a single column. Patrol, case, vacation, injured. In Martinez looking into Crenell, he writes in one. Then the man puts down his pen and rubs his temples with both hands. Outside, there is a siren. Distant gunshots on the streets of the Jamrock Quarter.
That makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of the waterways, just like we don't need sailors the way we used to. This is what the custom would morph into on the Occident. Mercenary tattoos. His platoon members? The other contractors, though I do not suggest you go and show them that picture. This man was their friend and comrade.
Challenge accepted. I say we do it.
Do what you have to do, Detective Dubois. I don't think deciphering that tattoo should come before public security, but if you should wade into the mob to find out, I couldn't stop you.
We will be careful, ma'am.
The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die abroad. This is a sort of contraption to be reeled back in by. The silver cord, they would call it.
Where is he now?
I would say he's near the Arcade Islands by now, ready to exit the Insulindian and into the Pale, if I've read his home address correctly. Is there anything else I can help you with?